How do you deal with creepy people? They're all around us. People might make you feel uncomfortable. They might make you feel the need to leave immediately. What do we do with creepy people? What is your idea of a creepy person? Is it somebody who looks creepy? Well, I'm here to shatter some things today. Creepy people aren't always what you think. Creepy people aren't just the ones that lurk in bushes and wait for children to leave an elementary school and walk home. Creepy people wear suits and ties. Creepy people are on Capitol Hill. Creepy people run big corporations. Creepy people work as an ICU nurse. Creepy people are all around us. How do we deal with them? How do you deal with a society that's endorsing creepy people? How does that work? How to cope with creepy people? We talk about stalkers and stuff, but what about people that are voted in as politicians that are creepy? They have creepy and dangerous and dark agendas. What do we do? How do we deal with people like that? How do we deal with people that have creepy agendas? That they're not just interested in making America a better place, but they've got a dark, twisted plan for us. How do we deal with those people? It's a good question. When we think of creepy people, nobody thinks of somebody dressed professionally. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the one and only Michael Nelson Show. People think I'm creepy, but I'm not. I'm just different, eclectic. If I want to try something, I do it. That's all there is to it. As the old Taco Bell commercial used to say, I think outside the bun. Everybody goes to a hamburger restaurant. Taco Bell doesn't have hamburgers. I think outside the box. And when you do that, you're in the minority. Would you think that this is creepy? Would you? I do. I think he'd be a good backdrop in a horror movie. What is inside that man's head? Stuff that's dangerous to us. They voted him in as a mayor of a city that's really the embarrassment of the nation. And what's creepy is he doesn't see that. Mayor Frey of Minneapolis is creepy. His belief system is creepy. It's scary. He encourages his city to attack federal agents because of his hatred for Donald Trump. These people are wingnuts. They're renegades. They're rebels. Hello, Nikki. Hello, Mr. Hinkle. And welcome. What about this one? Would you call this one creepy? Did you hear her the other day? Now she scares me. I lived in Minnesota, and I'm sorry, but in my Caucasian race, women that look like that creep me out. There's a computer program that they operate on that have that countenance. She endorsed the New York City mayor. Hello, Terry. Hello, But Why? How's everybody doing? Elizabeth Warren is creepy. She said she was Native American. I don't see any of that in her. Do you? I'm all right, Terry. Welcome to the one and only Michael Nelson Show, where we are never boring. What is the definition of creepy? Is it somebody who wears a clown mask and scares people? I think we need to actually look at what's scary today. Tired but breathing, so I'm good. Well, that's a good thing. These people have twisted agendas, and they're not for the good of anybody. This guy is creepy. I'm amazed at his arrogance. He got fired from NBC. Not sure what the reason was. Then he has the huevos to walk into a church on a Sunday morning and disrupt a church service. Congratulations, Don. You're the first clown that has disrupted a church service. You're a brave pioneer, aren't you? Can you imagine if a white man led a protest to enter into a mosque? What do you think CNN and the liberal news networks would be saying about that? Anybody want to venture on that one? Look at this. I went to Aldi's and bought cashews. I am happy when I have my stash of good snacks. And I don't look at things the way everybody thinks how to look at things. That's right, Terry. But how about this one? How about that? He's a millionaire. I think he's the toddler in the room. He's not getting attention, so he hijacks the Minneapolis riots and uses a song to bash Trump and stand with ICE protesters. That's Bruce Springsteen. He's got the American flag behind him. What a joke. He has truly become anti-American. When he endorses protesting federal agents. Hi, Nasty Reyes. How are you? Yeah, I don't like Springsteen. I never liked his music anyway. Yeah, well, that's a younger version. That's more like the 80s. We really do have left brain, right brain in this country. The worst concert I ever saw was Bruce Springsteen. I never liked his music. Never. I can't get into it. I'm going to shock a lot of people. Some of the bands I'm going to mention are huge in the rock music industry. Huey Lewis and the News, can't stand them. Billy Joel, can't stand him. Bruce Springsteen, I never liked his stuff. John Cougar Mellencamp, one song, one verse actually. Oh yeah, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. I didn't know that Springsteen and John Cougar Mellencamp were dyed-in-the-wool liberals. And that's how the Pied Piper works in our country. They get us hooked on a song. They get us pulled into it because there's a lot of emotion with music. And now it's 2026 and we're shocked. When I was in high school, I didn't think about what Bruce Springsteen or Cougar Mellencamp's political views are. Why would I? I like Fleetwood Mac until I heard something, read something out of her own mouth. She and Don Henley decided to get some wiki with each other, and she got pregnant. And she went and had an abortion. Don Henley was from the Eagles. And she said, my music career is more important than a child because my music gives people hope. I will not listen to her stuff anymore. Yeah, born in the USA. I left a comment the other day on his horrible song, and somebody says, you do realize that him and Springsteen and John Cougar Mellencamp are liberals, don't you? Hey, Doc Watson. Hey, Chad. And here's what I say. Music is powerful. You'll be driving in your car and you say, oh my gosh, that's such pretty music. Ted Nugent, the conservative man's rocker. You know, and I'm not familiar with a lot of his stuff. Didn't Cat Stevens become Muslim and leave the United States a long time ago? Why would anybody want to become Muslim? I don't see any benefit in that at all. I don't see any benefit in being a Muslim or a Mormon or a Jehovah's Witness. As funny as I get older, I'm like, these are boring religions. They have no life in them. They're not based on any truth. They're nothing but a giant lie. An absolute lie. It's interesting, isn't it? They claim he became a Christian. I don't know if he did. I never got into Ozzy. Crazy Train was good. Oh, it does. Katy Perry, Taylor Swift to me are not, they're not the talent of the years before. They're just not. A lot of auto tune. There's no bands in most of today's music. That's right, but why? He was the most beautiful of created beings. And note direct correlation of women and how they're obsessed with their beauty. Notice a direct correlation with the power music has. Notice this. People say music is innocuous. No, it's not. The Bible talks about the power of music. Where is this story? Daniel 3, verse 8. For this reason, at that time, certain Chaldeans came forward and brought charges against the Jews. They responded and said to Nebuchadnezzar the king, O king, live forever. You yourself, O king, have made a decree that every man who hears the sound of the horn, flute, lyre, trigon, psaltery, and bagpipe, and all kinds of music is to fall down and worship the golden image. But whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast in the midst of a furnace of blazing fire. There are certain Jews whom you have appointed over the administration of the province of Babylon, namely Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have disregarded you. They do not serve your gods or worship the golden image which you have set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in rage and anger, gave orders to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then these men were brought before the king. Nebuchadnezzar responded and said to them, Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the golden image that I have set up? Now, if you are ready at the moment you hear the sound of the horn, flute, lyre, trigon, psaltery, and bagpipe, and all kinds of music, to fall down and worship the image that I made, very well. But if you will not worship, you'll immediately be cast in the midst of fire, furnace of blazing fire. And what God is there who can deliver you out of my hands? Music is used to direct your attention, your affection somewhere. Music is not neutral. I disagree with that. It is powerful. What is the engine behind the song? What are the lyrics of the song? What is the motive of the guy who made or the woman who made the song? And when you get deeper in your understanding about music, it's not a neutral force. The world knows that. The devil knows that. It's sad when you go to most churches today, their music today, their new praise and stuff is cheesy. It's redundant. I'm like, wow, what happened to music in church? It has changed. Hello, Irish. Justin Bieber? No way. When was this? And yet, I love the song by Led Zeppelin, All of My Love. Robert Plant singing about his son. And I don't throw the devil or the baby out with the bathwater. I don't like AC/DC and Black Sabbath and stuff like that. They were known in the 80s as pushing the satanic envelope. However, I think a lot of that was for gimmick more than anything. How are you, Irish YouTuber? My fellow Irish lady. But music to me is important to me. This person is very creepy. That's the face of evil. How dare you come into our country and bring your false religion, talk against Jewish people, talk against those of us that voted for Trump. You don't even belong here. You're not an American. You are Somali, and you hate our country. And you were voted in, and you stand on the exact opposite of anything that makes sense. That's creepy. Why do I have this feeling that she smells awful? Why do I have this feeling that she smells like body odor? And I'm not being racist when I say that. There's talk that she had married her brother and did all kinds of crazy stuff. I wouldn't doubt it. Why would they elect her? I have no idea. Hello, Sang. Hello, 98. Well, Minneapolis has become little Somalia. You know that something is wrong when people are pouring out of the country because it's so bad. And then they come over here and want to reinstate that country's BS here. It's the same as Mexicans. Leaving Mexico is so bad, but then running around with the Mexican flag. Wait a minute, let me get this straight. You left your country because it sucks, you can't earn money, and now you want to have national pride on our streets. That's mentally ill. I'm going to call it what it is. I'm all right, Sang. And you know what bothers me is I would not go to another country waving the U.S. flag, parading down the street. What, I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud of our country. I'm not proud of what these clowns are doing to it. But Ilhan Omar is creepy. She's creepier than a horror movie. That woman actually thinks her brain is working. Did you hear what she said? We're going to win. We're going to take over, and we're going to end the whole Republican conservative thing. That's why these people come over here. They want to destroy us. All this talk about the phobia that whites have of brown skin. I don't think anybody has a phobia of brown skin. White women spend billions of dollars trying to tan their bodies. But I don't need Ilhan Omar shoved into my face. I don't like your culture. I don't have to. And that diaper on your head's got to go. This is not Mecca. This is America. You're not even true to your own religion. You're a liar. Women cannot be an authority in your religion. They cannot be in politics. So you want to mix Islam with feminism and Americanism, and yet you hate our Constitution, you hate Israel. Not one Democrat slammed the gavel down when she was on the House floor berating Israel. I would have done it. No more. That's racist. Sit down, please. Wow, that's it. But why? I did not know it was that narrow. That's scary. So we think we got a victory because Trump won. There's still half the voting, those that actually went to the polls, that are totally against us. And now, if they get in control, they will shut down ICE, they will reopen the borders, and they are going to come after us with a vengeance. I remember in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, Democrats used to yell, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. They are the ones censoring us, not the other way around. Do you notice that? They are the ones censoring us, not us them. Diaperhead over here. And people say that's disrespect. She is disrespectful to everything this country stands for. She does not belong in leadership ranks in American government. Go back to Somalia and clean up your own mess, lady. Go back and make Somalia great again. Get the F out. I don't respect that. Islam is being rammed down our throats. They teach kids in schools about Ramadan and Kwanzaa. Even a black guy on YouTube says, we don't even care about Ramadan and Kwanzaa. Why are they teaching this to kids? But then they tell you can't talk about God in school and bring a Bible. It's a joke, man. Demon garbage. You know what? I have dated across the board. If I knew a Somalian woman who was a Christian, a conservative, clean, good hygiene, good looking, and we were like this, cool. Chances of me finding that, about like that. As I get older, I never thought I'd say this. I've always been ethnically biracial, dating, encouraged it, but I see the problems. If I was to marry a black woman in Augusta, we would have problems. We'd have problems the minute her family came into my home. Unless they're Christians and God-fearing conservative people. Yes, Terry. But are we really going to make America great again? Now, I'm not trying to be negative, but I don't think that's going to happen. We're only 4 seats away on both sides. I thought the last election, America had said enough. We're only 4 seats on each side. That's disturbing. And people keep posting YouTube videos, oh, we're having victory over the Democrats. No, you're not. They will use this protest in their favor. They're trying to paint a picture that Trump is a dictator and a king and we're not having this. They will destroy anything he's tried to do. And they'll do it fast. Fast. Absolutely, because I'm sorry, when you marry somebody, you're marrying their culture, their family, their baggage, their sin, everything. Sorry to be rude, guys. Not just these. Not just these. Terry, you're right. What am I eating? But why? You've been here before. Veggie chips, cashews, granola, which I need to re-up my stock. Why do you think God told the Israelites, do not intermarry outside of your race? There was a reason for that. And though I disagreed with Bob Jones years ago, having a prohibition about the students dating interracially, which is not his call to make, the older I get, and I've been very trans diverse. I lived in Hong Kong. I've dated black women. I dated a woman from Nicaragua. I've dated Filipinas, Korean, Chinese, and a variety of white women. I could marry an American Asian woman. That could be very compatible. But black women, it gets into a whole new layer of struggle. A lot of that culture would not respect my home. They come over to see their relative and they're going to come in and light up pot. You don't do that in here. Man, what's your problem, man? It's my house, man. Get the F out, man. Then you got all that to deal with. No thanks. And it's not just relegated to drugs. There's a whole raft of problems. I have been very open when I moved here to dating an African-American woman. And now I see more and more it would not work. And it's not because of me, it's because of them. Especially in Augusta. And so I look at white women more now. Years ago, I kind of had the knee jerk because of the bad marriage and said, I won't date a white woman again. I've dated quite a few white women since that time. I think people are just sinners. And the Bible says we're all sinners and they're messed up everywhere. I do not believe it's a sin for somebody to marry outside their race. I don't believe that. But I do think you better think about the ramifications. How about this guy? Would you say he's a creep? Now they got signs saying justice. They want to make him a saint. Did you hear that? He looks like somebody that could be on the Alan Parsons Project album cover. He looks like somebody who would be wearing a North Face shirt. But when I saw the video of him yelling F you and spitting, this is an ICU nurse chasing an SUV, kicking out the taillight, that paints a different picture. Now his parents got an attorney. And of course, knowing the way Minnesota works, like George Floyd, he got $27 million or something. George Floyd did not live a life worthy of $27 million to be handed to his girls. He was not a father by any stretch. Out there acting up instead of raising his girls. Terry, that's Alex Preddy, the one that was shot at the protest that everybody's in an uproar about, along with Renee Good, this one. Remember her? Where is she? She's another clown and a half. It's really funny. They show a picture of her when she was younger and okay looking. They don't show that right there. That's the stereotypical lesbian look of Minnesota. That is the stereotypical look of a lesbian woman in Minnesota. I lived in Minnesota. They all look like that. I was at Voyager bus company in Duluth, and there was a gal that we were friends, and I called her Buffy, and she looked like that woman right there. I mean, right down to it. They are, Nikki. Statue of Biden. Yeah, she accelerated her car rapidly and endangered officers and bumped one of them. And they're arguing, saying they were standing in front of her car. Excuse me, clowns. She wasn't going in a lane of travel. She was this way across the road. Wasn't moving. Blocking ICE agents. They kept telling her to move, get out of there. Her girlfriend says, why don't you boys go get something to eat? Taunting, tantalizing, being rude to them. And then her little lover says, ride, baby, ride. Ride, Captain, ride on your mystery ship. What a sad show. You can tell these people are without God. Look at her face. The light's not on. That your biggest pulse for the day is to be a grown woman and use your car as a road blockade and harass ICE agents. Wow, you did not come to saving faith, did you? That's a waste of time. And you FAFO. And we're supposed to feel sorry for her. I don't know how America got to the point where people fail to realize when you mess with federal agents, you could get killed. People are dumb today. How do you deal with creepy people in your life? You met them at work. I've come to the conclusion in my workplace, and this is kind of everywhere now. I go into any workplace, and it's like the island of misfit toys. The train with square wheels, the boat that sinks. What was the deal with the doll? Anybody remember the doll? Biden does not need a statue. Why does she look high? She might have been. Hello, Laura. Lauren, how are you? The Island Misfit Toys and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Wasn't there a doll there? Biden on Rushmore. By the way, Georgia's Stone Mountain is in danger. They're talking about pulling funding from it. The GHETTO neighborhood is right there. Atlanta has expanded so much that the hood is right very close now. They said that it's becoming unsafe. And they want to pull the funding, and the blacks are happy. They're very against Stone Mountain, calling it a racist symbol. It's funny, the blacks can topple everything that Americans put up, but they can play their atrocious, offensive. It is derogatory to women, derogatory to people, derogatory to safety. Their rap music with offensive, hateful, vulgar, the N-word, and nobody does anything to stop that. Homeland Security should shut that down. Why do we have a video game, Car Theft San Andreas? I'm tired of people trying to tell me why that's okay and why it's so virtuous. You're role-playing stealing a car. That's disturbing. Too much blue, absolutely. They're the boomerang that never comes back and the Charlie in the box. That's right. Coworker said, "Did you hear they want to make a saint out of Alex Preddy?" I said, "Oh, please." I said, "They ought to make a poop emoji statue. That'd be perfect." I've been through Atlanta one time. I don't want to go again. You know what was shocking? Get on YouTube one morning in 2020, and the CNN headquarters is in Atlanta. And they showed all these clowns breaking windows, spray painting, standing up on the CNN sign, acting like tribal Neanderthals. And the mayor of Atlanta said, "Guys, CNN's on our side. Why are you doing this?" CNN is on our side. So much for objective journalism, huh? Really, but why? I haven't even been there. I don't have the power to change and critic every else. What does that mean? Every else problems only Jesus Christ my Savior. That sentence doesn't make any sense. I do talk about things, and there's no wrong in me doing that. God gives us all gifts differently. But I remember as a kid, my dad had a camper truck. He had a bumper sticker, Georgia Stone Mountain. That was in the 70s. That was a different place back then. I think the chat hung up. And at the end of the day, this is what they're pushing. Yeah, I wanted to see it. You think about a monolith of stone out in the middle of, that's a trip. Geological features are fascinating. I used to boldly and bravely drive across this country, go to Hong Kong. Oh, I'm not against fantasy. I actually like the colors in the picture. The problem is that's become a symbol of the gay movement. Personally, I like butterflies. The unicorn rendering is well done. It's sad that they take the rainbow. What does a rainbow have to do with homosexual? Zero. The rainbow was God's covenant to Noah that he'd never flood the whole world again. It's ridiculous. That's right, Terry. I don't recall that it was ever a symbol of childhood, but it was a symbol by God. Fruity and colorful. Yeah, and I'm not anti-rainbow and I'm not homophobic. But what's with the gay rainbow flag? And then you put it out there. You want everybody in your neighborhood to know you're gay. Do they have a straight flag? Where's the trans flag? They have a Republican flag and a Democrat flag? Do they have I love my dog flag? A Ford flag? A Chevy flag? That'd be funny. You know you're in a redneck town when you see Chevy, Ford, and Dodge flags flying in the breeze. I did a puzzle this last year in Iceland. It had colors like that in the sky. Beautiful. I understand sexual desires, right or wrong. I've never been hard on that. But when you become a militant, you want the right to marry same sex and you want to scream and yell and stamp your feet. You're the toddler in the room. You want to live your lifestyle, right or wrong. Stop making everybody else embrace it. But they're not happy with that. They want to force you to be tolerant of them. And most Americans I know, even if they don't like it, they're like, what you do in your bedroom is your business. But it's shoved down our throats. And the Democrat Party has become a bully. They hate God, they hate the truth, and they want to ram this multiculturalism down our throats. They say that they believe in the freedom of speech, the freedom of diverse thought. The whole premise for the TV show, The View, by Barbara Walters was to have alternate viewpoints. What a joke. All women who believe the same crap. All of them. There's no conservatives in there. Care Bears, yep. Care Bears was a girl's toy. That's right, Ram Ram. You remember when they came out with that doll for boys, My Buddy? Boy, was that goofy. Looks like a boy. My buddy and me gonna climb a tree, my buddy. No, I never wanted a male doll. When the holidays came for me, this is what I wanted. This kind of stuff. A real toy truck. This is a 1960s Tonka Jeep mixer. Everything still works. Everything still works. The lever still works, and the whole thing tips back. This thing is in really great shape. That's the sad thing about Minnesota. This was made in Mound, Minnesota. Tonka was Lake Minnetonka. And look at what they've become today. Boys don't even play with trucks. Not as kids. Shoot, they're addicted to their dang phones. I still love trucks to this day. Not the new ones. I wish I had this to ride to school back in the day. That would have been the fun bus. Anybody ride that one to school? Oh, that'd be awesome. Hi, Sangeeta, Mina. Mina is always dancing. She's always dancing to her music on the roof of her place. She's made friends with the crows. You can hear them in the background. My mom bought her grandson a buddy. My buddy. I remember that. I'm just like, I remember I was a young adult when that came out. I'm like, who's going to buy a boy doll? I mean, even then I thought that. And I wasn't being rude. Who's going to buy that? I was in love with Tonka trucks. Then when I got older, I was into ships. What I look at is people, and I look at what their main screen is. The things that have never changed in me ever, my love for trucks, ships in the sea, earthquakes and volcanoes, music, the Titanic, foreign travel, going places. That's all still within me, deeply, deeply part of my life. In 1883, Krakatoa erupted, one of the biggest eruptions ever. Dutch settlers were living there, and people recorded what was going on. Captain Linden was a Dutch ship captain of a combination steamship, freighter passenger ship. And when the volcano erupted, he told everybody, you got to get down below. We got to head out to sea. They're like, why aren't we going back to port? And he said, something's going on with the ocean. He is the only captain that sailed his ship head on into a 120-foot wave and survived. Ship, crew, and passengers. He won the Medal of Honor back in Holland. That is an impressive story. I posted it. I posted that part of the Krakatoa story on my post. You can watch it. And I learned this years ago. There's a BBC documentary on YouTube. There's an old black and white movie called Krakatoa East of Java. I watched that in Mammoth when we had regular TV. And I thought it was cool. The BBC does a good job with that. Krakatoa was so violent of an eruption. The sound of the eruption was heard 1,000 miles away. It was heard in Australia. That's huge. People only loves dog, cat, and no love. Sangeeta, we eat meat over here. Nobody eat camel. Nobody eat goat. But yes, we eat beef from cow, pig meat, chicken, I like fish. Really, Terry? I heard riding a dromedary is not. They do too much of this. They have a lope to their walk. When I lived in Hong Kong and I dated the Filipino over there, she told me when she was young they ate dog. Now it's illegal. People make jokes at the Asian restaurant. When I was married to my wife, she said that when an Asian family moved to town, people's dogs and cats started disappearing in the neighborhood, and they all thought they were using it as meat in their restaurant. Can you imagine? You go into a restaurant and you eat something and you tell the Asian man, "This good, what is it?" "That's cat. Good stuff. Cat and dog." When I was in Hong Kong, an Asian friend told me, "Michael, you never heard the joke? 101 ways to walk your dog." I said, "Oh my gosh." I remember the cockroaches were all over Hong Kong, and they were huge, like down here, the palmetto bugs, about that long. They're hideous. And one would get loose in the flat, and I'd be chasing it around, moving stuff. And Leo one day says, "You see the cockroach?" I said, "Yeah, I hate those things." And I'd finally see it in the corner, grab my sandal, go wham! Very crunchy sound, gross. He says, "Hey, when you catch it, put it in the wok, we eat." He joked to me. Probably, but why? I wouldn't doubt it. So, Sangeeta, what do you mean? You believe you come back as an animal? That's right. Hindus believe in reincarnation, don't they? As a Christian, I believe we have a spirit. When we die, we either go to heaven or we go to hell. If we don't reincarnate, we don't come back. My aunt said years ago, "I've had lamb, it's good." Fish bait. I don't, there's people that believe that animals go to heaven. And the Bible doesn't teach that. Solomon talks about it. That the animal dies, goes down to the earth, and the soul of man goes upward. Animals don't have a soul. And people don't realize that. People put such strong affection and feelings to their pets. You can't have a rational discussion with regards to that. I don't remember where it is. I'd have to look it up, but I can't do that when I'm on the live video. Sangeeta! Well, they're not equal to us. God had Noah save them so that the animal kingdom could reproduce after the flood. No, it's the weekend, Vicky. But no, man and animal are not equal. It doesn't teach that even in Genesis. Let the earth bring forth living creatures after their kind, cattle and creeping things, and beasts of the earth after their kind. It was so. And God made the beasts of the earth after their kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creeps on the ground after its kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let us make man in our image according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the ground. There's a big distinction between man and animal. And Romans talks about worshiping the creature rather than the creator. Very dangerous stuff. But it's not equal to us, Vicky. It's not. Why would God institute temple sacrifice where we have to shed the blood of a lamb? And then Jesus refers to himself as the Lamb of God that takes away the sin of the world. Dominion means authority over or control over. Man can pretty much take down any beast with weaponry or whatever. Terry, it is a dress. I like it. I do weird things sometimes just because I try things. I got this for $2 and I'm like, wow, women's clothes are cheap and I live in my house. So I express myself in my home. Vicky, I'm so sorry. I read that wrong. Please forgive me. I try to keep up with the chat. Sometimes it goes fast. My bad. It is. Terry, I'm a little weird, but I'm sane. Animals do not have a spirit, Mina. Animals do not go to heaven and they don't go to hell. When they die, they decay back into the soil. So does man and woman, except we have a spirit. People say that their pets are going to be in heaven. I got one answer to that right now, right off the top of my head. The Bible says there is no longer any sea, no more ocean. You do realize that sea life can only live in salt water. The whales, the octopus, the sharks, the starfish, sea anemones, jellyfish, they're not going to be in heaven. So why is your cat or your guppy or your dog going to be there? That's not right. That's not rational. Do you know how many animals there have been in the world? You're telling me that the whole kingdom is going to be full of all these animals? Out of control numbers of animals? Think about what you're saying. when God comes to judge the world, when his judgment falls on earth, it does not spare the animal kingdom. If animals are so spirit so good, why would God allow them to be destroyed along with the sinfulness of men? God created the animals for a purpose. They don't have a spirit. They cannot obtain salvation. The lion, or the wolf will lie with the lamb, is talking about the millennial reign of Christ on earth, not in heaven. That's a distinct and separate event. Ever, thank you for saying that, right? People that scream and yell King James only fail to realize the original Greek doesn't say, in my Father's house are many mansions. That whole mansion thing is a Western construct, really. Earth is neutral. We destroyed it when we sinned. When we sinned, we infected the hard drive of creation with a curse. Man and animals are afraid of each other. All things, the law of entropy, the second law of thermodynamics is in full swing. I'm getting older. Look at my neck. Just a couple of years ago, it didn't have all these wrinkles in it. I hate it. But I have to embrace it. My body looks good, but my neck's starting to show aging. Gosh, I hope I don't have a Mitch McConnell turkey neck. I don't think so. I don't have enough fat up here to do that. Sorry, I had to say that. What's awesome is we'll be given a new glorified body in heaven. People ask me, will we recognize each other? I think so. Will I look anything like I look like now? These won't be around. I won't be bringing this up there. Can you imagine? You guys get to heaven and there I am. And I stand up and say, about time you guys showed up for the live. Michael, you going live? Are you serious? Look where you are. Oh my gosh, we're in heaven. Yeah, I'm done. My YouTube channel doesn't exist anymore. We're here with him. Nobody needs to listen to a word I say. What's it going to be like? What are relationships going to be like up there? We don't know. It says, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what God has prepared for those who love him. Thank you, Element. I appreciate that. You got red hair. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't want a turkey neck. Look, some of those politicians have been there too long. I mean, it's starting to gobble, gobble, wobble, wobble. Am I going to be a lady boy? I'm not a lady boy here, Morgan. I'm not going to be a lady boy in heaven. Hey, Ricky. Ricky, don't lose that number. Steely Dan, man. Let's bring back the greats. Element does look great. I don't have what? Oh, I don't have a turkey neck. No, but it's starting to get wrinkles. I'm self-conscious. I'm vain. We do need term limits. Why has that not been the forefront of this administration? Get these old coots out of there. And I'm not disrespecting age. These oldsters aren't doing anything but lining their wallets. It's sick. I wouldn't make it on Capitol Hill. They would shred me. They would shred me on Capitol Hill. Turkey nuts? Morgan, what kind of question? How old are you and what state are you from? Yeah, they make laws to protect each other. They argue in front of national TV and they all go to the bar on Capitol Hill after work and drink together. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to run in unison with people I don't agree with. When the business in the house is over, I'm going home. Mike, why don't you join us? Have a drink. I don't drink. Come on, man. We all. Nope. I'd rather listen to music and get on YouTube than deal with you clowns. No thanks. And you know what? The ladies will back me up on this. Just say I won the House or the Senate, but say I got elected once. Do you know how many women would come after me then? Just to get me to fall, with the sole purpose of slithering up to me so that we could have a nice little nudie tryst so that they could cause me to fall. They're not interested in me now. Not in Augusta, not, nobody's aggressively pursuing me. But the minute I become a politician, watch what they do. Am I wrong, ladies? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Tell me. I've used different ones. This is the NASB, New American Standard. NIV is good. The New King James is good. King James is good for study, but the King James translation is not infallible. Hey, remember, how are you? Hey, Dallas. I just realized your name, Dallas, is Dallas backwards and forward. I think of that song by ELO. Crazy ladies that wait and slide around like a snake. I just can't take any more. I'm headed into the door, into the city. Night in the City by ELO. Standing at the airport, she was on the strip. She was biting her lip. 747 just left from gate 11, and there's no turning round because it's just leaving the ground and getting higher, higher. Night in the city, oh, 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 madness at midnight. Night in the city, driving me insane. I love that song. I loved it since middle school. Palindrome. ELO had good stuff. Oh, Elizabeth. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Now I don't have to call you Kevin anymore. Hello, Jennifer. What happened to Element? Are you still in the house? Hello, Carol. Sweet talking woman. I loved a lot of ELO. Hello? Can you hear me? Hey, hey, telephone line. Give me some time. Love that song. Oh my gosh. I'm glad you asked me that, only because you asked me will I even broach. I don't like her. I think she's a snake. I think she's exactly what I used to talk about on my former channel about Western women and the decay and the off-putting things. Erica Kirk is not my kind of a girl. And there's a lot of question marks about her. I don't like Erica. something's funny about all that. Candace Owens is a mess too, though. Candace Owens has been talking smack about trying to imply that Charlie Kirk wasn't killed by Tyler. Now, come on. It's the parents should be out there saying something if it wasn't their son. They know he did it. Candace Owens is always trying to get attention. I used to really believe in her, but when she turned against Israel, that's when I said, I'm done. Same with Mark Dice. When he started speaking out against Israel, Paul Joseph Watson, all of them. They become popular and then they become arrogant and start making brash, dumb statements because they're full of their own arrogance. Watson, Dice, Benny Johnson. Benny Johnson's, in Trump's right-hand pocket. And I don't like that. His channel blows up. He made a neon light of his facial caricature. And it's like, these people make big money regurgitating the news. That's it. We all can watch the news and kind of figure out what's going on. And it's amazing to me how much news is just armchair pontificating. That's it. That when I was a kid, you had da 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 NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. ABC World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. CBS News with Dan Rather. I used to watch those guys all the time. I was what you call the news hound. It wasn't too long after that the media did a sharp hook to the left. Hi, Ellie. Man, where have you been, Ellie? I have been looking for you. I sent out a team of horses into your village and they couldn't find you anywhere. Where have you been, Ellie? Absolutely, Jennifer, and I will tolerate no anti-Semitism. I do not think that the Jews are perfectly righteous people. They're stiff-necked, the Bible says, but God is not done with the nation. Even Zechariah says 1/3 of Israel will be saved. We're talking at the tribulation time. 2/3 of them are going to reject. 2/3. Remember, the church age is if you were to use grammatical construct, the church age is a parenthesis in the middle of God's prophetic program with Israel. Oh, Ellie, did you get COVID at all? I got COVID, and a year after that, I started getting vertigo. I never had it. My head would spin. I'd throw up, nothing come out. I was off work for days. Ellie, did you talk to your boss like I asked you? Did you tell him it's too much? Did you try to talk to him politely? Did you get anywhere with that? She's in the Philippines, folks, and they're making her work 16-hour days at a gas station at night. The Philippines is a nice place, but there's crime there, and it's not safe for a young woman by herself. When you think of the gas station, we're not talking about a C-store. We're talking it's a whole different ball of wax. Ellie's a pretty young lady, and scary stuff. She needed a job, and she got a job, and there was a guy working side by side with her, and he quit, and another one quit, and she's a woman that doesn't quit. Watch that. In the Philippines, hey, I was in the Philippines. I loved it, but I wouldn't walk around in the places I'm unfamiliar by myself as an American. Some of them Filipinos can be rough. And they may not like me as a foreigner. A truck bumped the pump. That's not good. Omnipotent man, why would you want Obama back in office? Are you serious? You do realize what room you're in, right? Do you read the room at all? Obama who? I think that it's past time. Politicians should be arrested for lying and misleading people. Oh, it happened when you were there? Did it catch on fire? Michael's husband. You mean Michelle? People are convinced. Who's Big Mike? I don't know who Big Mike is. You're not talking to me. I'm not married to an old dude. But what about, oh, that's good, Ellie. Usually when you rip out a pump, the gas goes and ignites and you have a big old fire going on. People believe that Michelle is not a woman. Now, I know that sounds fun, but I don't think that's the case. Hillary sucks. But the driver owed the station 11,000 pesos. But how do they enforce that? 11,000 pesos. Hey, somebody do me a favor online because I can't get to the calculator doing it live. Divide 11,000, do 50 into 11,000. That'll tell you the US price. I think it's 50 peso, $1 US. Oh, any ladies want to come over and give me a massage and know I'm not being a perv? I need a good deep tissue rub on my neck and my shoulders. I was picking up these heavy brake calipers yesterday and packing them, and I get so used to doing things, and I felt, like a stitch in my arm, and last night it was sore. It's like, what the heck? Oh my gosh. So $220. Thank you for that. Remember? So about $220. That's actually cheap. If somebody whacked the pump here, it'd probably be, a low 20 grand or something crazy. I pulled 2 International and Thomas school buses have the same dash assembly. Plastic, the plastic plexi over it. Temperature, volt, gauge, speedometer, tachometer, all that. When I look at the pick ticket, I look at the price of what our place is selling it for. I pulled 2 of those. $5,500. This is a plastic gauge cluster with the plastic glass over it with the plug-in. Remove the what do you call it? The trim around the dash, pull it out, hook up the plug, screw it back in. $5,500 for 2 of those. Good grief, parts are expensive. Expensive. $5,500 for 2 gauge clusters? That to me is outrageous. I don't want to go to a masseuse. Ellie will agree with me on this. The best massages I've ever had were done by Filipino women when I was overseas. They're small, but their hands will dig into your deep tissue. Oh my gosh, they're very good at it. No, I'm not Jewish, but I don't tolerate anti-Semitism. It's another form of racism. A floating house near the station. Jennifer, you know what it is. If I could pick a president to run the country forever, nobody lasts forever on this world. I don't know who I'd pick, and I mean that in all honesty. Too much BSing. Too much BSing in the office of any political thing. I wouldn't want to be in politics. They wouldn't want me in there because I believe in fixing problems, not getting task force committees and paying billions of dollars to fund a study. And this crap going on in Minneapolis, I tell them, keep telling your people to protest ICE, and we're going to deny all federal funding for your interstates and all your stuff. You can just kiss it goodbye. Dang winter out there and it's cold, and these clowns are dancing around in cold, sub-zero temperatures to make a point. Stupid. Stupid. I'm glad I'm off today. I need to head to the store, load up on some groceries, and then wait for a snowstorm to come. I don't know if it's shut down or not. Oh, the weather reports are wrong most of the time anymore. Ellie, really? Ellie, I asked you this. What part of the Philippines? You said Luzon. What is the name of your town there? I can't because I go in the store, they're playing music and the YouTube will mute the video. Cavite. So are you in, wait a minute, isn't Cavite in the city? $30 inches of snow in Connecticut? Yeah. And if I remember, Cavite is like the rich district. There's that Manakati. I used to have a world atlas. I wish I'd have kept that. I could look up any country, anything. Maps of the whole world. Yeah, south of Manila. I was in Valenzuela City in 2018, Ellie, north of Manila for 2 weeks. I loved it. Jennifer, how come I didn't know you were in Georgia? Where are you, Jennifer? Somebody that close to me, shoot. We need to go out to eat and have lunch one day and have a live chat. Athens, that's not that far. If I remember correctly. This closet is so cold. I insulated the floor. I think I need to add more to the ceiling. That's why I keep that door shut. Good ice box in there. C, D, E, F, G. Athens is right. Athens, Georgia. Man, it'd take you less than 2 hours to come and see Michael. Cousins in Georgia. Dalton? Dalton, Georgia. Where is Dalton? I gotta take my glass off to read fine print. Watkinsville, Bishop. I didn't know they had a Bishop, Georgia. They got a Bishop, California. Where's Dalton? I don't even see it on here. Florida. We got Tennessee. I'm surrounded by you guys. Oh, Dalton. 30 miles south of Chattanooga. Oh, I see it. Right on I-75. I've had 2 YouTube subs come to this house, Iraq and Mob Rules, both with their wives. That's awesome. I didn't know I had many people from Georgia listening. It's weird. When I was out west and I had my Pacific Ocean Asia channel, did not have a lot of people out this way. I have a couple I'm friends with still to this day from that channel up in New Hampshire. But it's weird because I moved out here in a time zone. A lot of people from the Carolinas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, lots of people from Ohio, Pennsylvania, Jersey, Rhode Island, Maine. We got a few people from Maine, Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana. Fight, fight, fight. I'm in Georgia, in Augusta. Jennifer. Connecticut, Massachusetts. My metabolism is off the charts. Paulo's off a bag of chips, add some cashews, and I will still have my oatmeal. I've been by there. I never went to it. That's what I'm saying. You could be here in less than 2 hours. I haven't, Carol. To be honest, I haven't done a lot here. I go work, I go to the house. I've done no traveling here. None. You know, I've always been a warrior. I want to see what's around the next bend I look. But if I'm going to do something out there, I want to do something with somebody. 59, who wants to go somewhere all by yourself? I've done that most of my life. Yeah, I have a house, so I have a reason to stay home. The cost of houses was cheaper. Colorado was ridiculous. Really, Terry? Left my home in Georgia, headed out to California, yeah. Sitting at the dock of the bay. Otis Redding. Tax on dog walking. Are you serious, Luis? That's so ridiculous. They're going to have a toilet tax? You know, Obama had a methane tax on farms because of cow farts. Can you believe that? Hubert Hobbs Memorial Highway. Well, that's interesting. I know. Jennifer, tax on dog walking. Democrats want to be control freaks. Let me get in office. I'll say, we're going to charge a $1,500 tax for every lie that comes out of your mouth. And that goes for the media. Boy, Washington would have more money than they could shake a stick at. Called the truth tax. Where you at, 98? A window tax. Really, Liz? That's cool, Elizabeth. Chattanooga, that's right. You said that earlier. The Chattanooga Choo Choo. Back to my dress. I don't feel ashamed wearing this. I like the colors and the style. I think it fits me. You know, you look at old cultures, European men. Look at what they wore. You got people just get outraged when they see me doing this. I'm like, why does it bother you so much? It's not like I'm walking around checking out guys' butts. That's not my thing. I had a woman when I was in Walmart. She was from New York. Can I ask you, what is that perfume you have on? And I told her, and she goes, I love that smell. I said, I do too. You know, when you do stuff like that, just because I'm a guy doesn't mean I have to smell like a guy. I'm not into body odor and musky. They call it out here musty. The blacks use that term. They'll say that you smell musty. You need to go wash. Musty. I think it's awesome. You guys enjoy it. I enjoy you guys. It's fun to interact. It's fun to interact. It's for number one fam. Where's Colonial Beach? What state is that in? What is that, Terry? What is that emoji? Somebody's mind blowing up or a volcano? That's cute. So many different emoticons. Oh, that's right. You're in Florida. Where in Florida are you, Krebs? SR, it's sad because I like to do it. You know, I'm not going to carry a Michael Kors handbag and wear stilettos and walk into a business. Excuse me, can you tell me where the bathroom is? Fort Lauderdale. Elizabeth, you're in Waynesboro, Georgia? You are literally down the road from me. Let's see. Waynesboro, Statesboro, that's not that far from me. The Statesboro's a ride. Waynesboro's about what? What is the scale of miles here? 25. You're about 25 minutes from me. 30. Get on Peach Orchard, which turns into Highway 25. When I came back from Florida, I came up 301 and went through all them little towns. Jessup. Glenville. I went through Statesboro, Waynesboro. Oh, no, you're in Pennsylvania? It's a volcano. That's what I thought. I love maps. I don't use GPS. 55 degrees. You dang southern Floridians. Always hotter than we are. But, Florida, I was there in Tampa, and it's just weird out there because it's just a sameness to it. Michael, I liked the mountains. I liked the ocean because the mountains and ocean, things are always changing. Florida's pretty static to me. Tampa was too expensive, too much traffic. I spent 3 months down there. I'm different anyway. But I just didn't feel it when I was down there. I just felt like I needed to come back up this way. Time is it now? 22 in Chattanooga. You worked at Jessup. You know, those little towns on 301 are pretty. Some of those towns are old and just cool. Gray, pompous England. I don't know. I think the English countryside would be cool. You know people in Jessup, but they don't work there. What are they in the prison? Somebody put, not the unicorn. Did you see the short I made with creepy, haunting music showing the protesters and politicians? I've overused the song "You're a Dumbass." I can keep using it, but it's become redundant. Jennifer, thanks for coming in. I will come back later. I got to go to the store. The snow's supposed to come at 10 o'clock, and I need to get a beat on the weather and look outside, make my breakfast, put my pants on. I don't go out in public in sweatpants. I will not do that. Maybe I should wear spandex and be naked underneath. That'd be a thrill. Spandex, those are not for men. All right, folks. Maryland. Tammy, it's fun. Hi, Tina. All right, folks, gotta go. Keep it safe. Keep it between the ditches. Check your blinker fluid, your headlamp fluid, and make sure you check your piston return springs and your muffler bearings. I'm not wearing no spandex. But I did wear the dress once when Tina lived here. We went downtown to the club, and I said, that feels so weird. And she goes, do you notice the cool air going up your legs? I said, oh my gosh. I started laughing. She was laughing. People held doors open for us. I said, well, that's interesting. Now that they think I'm a woman, they're polite. When it's just me as a guy, shoot, nobody says thank you. Nobody holds the door open for me. When they see you cross the street, you hear them revving their engine. It's like, shoot, I better get out of the way. They're going to run me down. Women, you got a different treatment level than we do. Do you realize that? Really strange that way. All right, folks. Nature calls me. I have to make a deposit in my porcelain account. Thanks for coming. Catch you all on the rebound.